A top line up here in the studio as well. Mark McAdam and Jaydee Dyer alongside me this morning. Let's start with Arsenal. Mesut Ozil has left the building, but we're still waiting for his move to Fenerbahce to be officially announced. Reports in Turkey suggest that will happen on Saturday. So, right, let's turn our attention to incomings then. Mark, will Mesut Ozil be replaced, do we think, in this window? What's the latest there?
To be honest, I don't think he needs to be replaced. When you've got a player in Smith Rowe who's come to the table over the course of the last few weeks and said, hey, look at me, I'm ready to rock and roll. And boy, is he rocking and rolling. He's been absolutely superb since being introduced to that Arsenal team by Mikel Arteta. Really impressive performances. And do you know what the great thing is and the funny thing is? He's been sat there all along.
Yeah.
He's been there the whole time. He had a nice spell into Europe. Then he went into the EFL with Huddersfield. And boy, does he look ready to play in the Premier League at the moment. It's one of those exciting moments for Arsenal fans where there's always a connection when you have a player that comes through the setup. Is that, you know, when you get a player that comes through the academy, instantly they've got a credit with the fans. There's that appreciation and that affinity, and that's what he's got at Smith Rowe. So when you look at the way he's playing, do they need to go and find that creative midfielder, that number 10, that's that person that can go and make things happen in the final third? Probably not at the moment. In terms of the players that they have been linked to, it's quite interesting actually, because initially we expected Arsenal to spend the first half of the window trying to sell players and get rid of players and free up some wages. Of course, you have to remember that they've gone to the Bank of England for a £120 million loan to make sure they could secure jobs, whilst also trying to obviously make sure that the club was stable in this very perilous financial market that we're in off the back of COVID. So they took out that loan, which has obviously restricted what they can do in the transfer market. And then there was this pursuit of Emi Buendía at Norwich. I think when Daniel Farke came out the other day and said that there was a 99% chance that Emi would stay at Norwich, that signalled the end of any potential investment with that player in this window, but it's absolutely something that could be revisited in the summer. So interesting points at Arsenal, but yeah, I don't think they'll be moving very quickly to replace Mesut, particularly in January.
Jaydee, agree with that?
I have to agree wholeheartedly. I think you've seen the performances of Emi Smith Rowe as he's broken into the first team, and I really like what you talked about there, Mark, in terms of you're seeing the actual loan system work. You saw the development in the EFL and the performances that you had with Huddersfield, and now you're seeing the rewards of that, especially that was breakout performance against Chelsea, against West Brom and Brighton most recently. I think 2 out of the 3, he's actually won man of the match. I think even he's probably taken a little bit of time to adjust, to understand that, wow, I'm actually a full-fledged Arsenal first-team footballer at this moment in time, but this has been the plan. You think about the appointment of Mikel Arteta and what they actually turned around and said. It was about bringing those young players through the system. It was about giving them an opportunity. You've seen that with Eddie Nketiah. You've seen that with Bukayo Saka. You've seen that with Reece Nelson, Joe Willock. The list will go on, because this is part of the man management that Mikel Arteta has not only symbolised as a part of his game, but he's definitely establishing as part of Arsenal at this moment in time.
Do you get the feeling that there's a big transition happening at Arsenal at the moment, and that whilst they'd like it to happen in this window, it's going to be something that happens in the summer?
I definitely believe so. I think what you're seeing now is trust. A lot of the players that you've seen that Arsenal are signing, they're signing younger players that can grow with these players that they're wanting to bring through the academy system. The interesting thing about it is, if you look at that academy system from 99 to 2000, which a lot of these players in terms of their birth year are coming through, it was actually a really successful academy. So we're happy, because all the time we talk about these British clubs and why don't they use their talent. Well, Arsenal are actually using their talent, so we have to remain patient. We have to turn around and give these players opportunities to develop, to make mistakes, to grow, and then see where it goes from here.
Right, let's bring Carl into the conversation. He's a very big Arsenal fan. He's even got Wenger's book behind him at home. Carl, what do you think? Do you agree with the guys?
Oh gosh, don't. The amount of stick I got on social media about having that book in the background, people questioning who I did support. When you're looking at Buendia, you look at what he's been able to do in the Premier League, 36 appearances, 1 goal. If you want to bring that in for what, 40 or 50 million, it's being said they'd have to pay for him. Why would you spend so much on a 24-year-old when you have got Emile Smith Rowe there? He's a bit younger, 20. But he's been out, he's learned his trade in a way. I actually was quite lucky to go and see him when he played at Huddersfield, and he stood out across everyone. You could see that actually he was such a special talent. So he's been out, he's done that. But why would you want to spend money when you've got a youngster there that you can help to develop even more? Arsenal have got so many incredible youngsters that just look so good. You've got Bukayo Saka, Eddie Nketiah, Emile Smith Rowe. They want to be developing this talent, and here's me thinking that we were going to be stopping talking about Mesut Ozil. Now we're talking about his replacement. So I think they have got someone there. However, he is only young. He is only 20, so there's a lot of pressure. Are Arsenal fans going to be giving him negative feedback or be very vocal on social media, let's say, when he has a bad run of form, when he's not playing week in, week out? That's what they have to wait for, because he's 20 years old. He's got plenty of time to develop and learn, and he can do that at Arsenal.
Mesut Ozil hasn't actually officially signed for Fenerbahce yet either, but hopefully by next Wednesday, Carl, we won't be talking about him, so you'll be happy about that. Right, let's talk about the goalkeeper situation, shall we? And Arsenal, of course, chose to sell Emi Martinez, in the summer, but now they find themselves really looking for another goalkeeper just months on from that. He went to Villa because he wanted more first-team football, fair enough. Arsenal brought in Alex Renarson in a move that hasn't really worked out, Mark. And what's the latest with the goalkeeper situation at Arsenal?
Well, we know that Arsenal are trying to find someone who can challenge Leno as the Arsenal number one. And I think perhaps when you look at the situation at Martinez going to Aston Villa, who wanted first-team football, he's got first-team football, and he's played really well. That'll be perhaps sort of lingering in the minds of Mikel Arteta and Edu and the Arsenal board, thinking we've sold a really good quality goalkeeper. Whilst we got good money for him, actually we're now going to try and spend more money to try and replace him, and that's the challenge they have. Of course, the names that are being linked with Arsenal at the moment, we know they had an interest in David Raya at Brentford, who was someone that was on their shopping list over the course of the summer, and there's been reports over the course of the last few days about Neto, the 31-year-old Barcelona goalkeeper. There's reports suggesting he's a player that Mikel Arteta is interested in and potentially could be available this window as well. He joined Barcelona from Valencia in the summer of 2019, but he's only appeared 14 times for Barcelona, and reports are suggesting he could be available for 18 million. But again, you sold Martinez for similar kind of money, who's a bit younger. Neto's 31 and he's going to cost the same kind of money. So it's fascinating to see. But we know that Mikel Arteta is desperately looking for a goalkeeper to really strengthen his options there and to challenge Leno as the number one. There's
loads to go at with Arsenal today. Elsewhere, their technical director, Edu, is concerned about Lucas Torreira's situation at Atletico Madrid as clubs begin to circle over a potential transfer. Now, the midfielder signed for Diego Simeone's side on a season-long loan, of course, but he's found appearances really hard to come by this season. JD, what's happening with him at the moment?
You just hit it right there, nail on the head with the last line. Appearances hard to come by. We have to take it into two contexts. First of all, he's only started 2 games this season for Atletico Madrid, and you as sort of the technical director, as Edu, would be concerned because as part of the arrangement in terms of wanting to send Lucas Torreira to get first team football was that he was going to play. He was going to start. Of course, it was part of the Partey deal on deadline day, which had Arsenal fans so excited. But when you hear 2 starts at this stage, at halfway through the season, it's concerning, it would be concerning. You have to look at the Atletico Madrid perspective, though, flying in La Liga at this moment in time, top of the league. Yeah. So they wouldn't want to change a system that is clearly working for them in what's, let's be honest, has been a disjointed sort of season for everybody around the world because of the coronavirus pandemic. But fundamentally, the whole point of the Lucas Torreira move was to get him games because he wasn't getting the games and the consistency of the minutes in an Arsenal shirt. If he's not going to get that in an Atleti shirt, what we understand at this moment in time is that there are teams that are still interested in bringing Lucas Torreira onto their books as a potential loan move in this window or maybe further on permanently as well.
Folarin Balogun, another name that we've been talking about quite a bit in this window as well. Highly rated youngster, contract up this summer. But Mark, we know Arsenal want to keep hold of him.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to Dharmesh Sheth last night on the transfer show. He said Arsenal want to keep him, as you say, but talks over a new contract have so far failed to reach a resolution with just 6 months left on his deal. As it stands, a pre-contract agreement with a foreign club is the most likely scenario unless Arsenal can do something last-ditch to try and keep him in North London and just perhaps persuade him that his future lies at Arsenal in this exciting time where they're building this young squad.
Yeah, and Carl, you were talking about the youngsters at the club just a minute ago, but I imagine Arsenal fans wouldn't want to let him go.
No, definitely. I think you've seen the part that he's played in the Europa League for them this season, and you see the future that he could have at the club. It's probably slightly worrying as to why they've not managed to agree terms, and the fact that he is available to speak to foreign clubs right now, so that might worry them. When you're looking at Mikel Arteta, he's clearly got a long-term plan with these youngsters. I mentioned the names before, Bukayo Saka, we know how great he's been. When you're looking at Emile Smith Rowe, when you're looking at Eddie Nketiah, when you're looking at Balogun as well, he fits right into that. That is the future of Arsenal. So they're hoping to keep a hold of him. I guess the questions he might have is, what does his future look like at the club? You've got Aubameyang, you've got Lacazette, you've got these attacking players that are clearly ahead of him. And he's only 19 years old. He might want to go out there and learn and actually be able to go and play and get first-team regular football, which he probably needs as well for his own development. So Arsenal fans, I think, would be disappointed in losing him because he's such a talented player. But it might work out for them if they can sell him, make a bit of money. Or if not, he's going to leave on that free transfer. We'll see what happens.
And yeah, apologies for the drilling behind Jaydee at the moment.
We're doing a bit of DIY.
Right, let's bring it back to what we're talking about. Look, you've talked about those youngsters coming through. Carl just mentioned it there, Bukayo Saka and Emile Smith Rowe. Is there a worry that Balogun won't be part of that process? I mean, Arsenal, they've been recognised down the years for developing this young talent. We look at Aaron Ramsey, Jack Wilshere, Kieran Gibbs, but they have let some go, like Serge Gnabry. I have to say it.
And you've seen the way that Gnabry has gone on and become, well, let's say, arguably one of the best wingers, if not the best winger in the world, in that Bayern Munich system. And Arsenal would be wary of looking at situations like that and understanding that they do not want to be losing their best young players at any cost. What I will turn around and say to you is I spoke to a coach very close to Folarin Balogun, and what he actually really identified to me about sort of his character and why this situation is sort of playing out as it is the hunger for minutes. People need to really recognise that this is a young man, a teenager that really does want to play first-team football. We've seen the glimpse of it, as Carl just alluded to, within the Europa League, a couple of notable goals. But he wants to play, he wants to establish himself. Anybody that's watched his progression over, especially the youth team football as of recently, will know that he has been a prolific goal scorer at youth team level. But the difference is between when you want to actually establish yourself as a serious pro, you have to know when to make that right move. And what you're seeing now is what you're seeing with a lot more players. Players taking control of their future and understanding their value in the market.